be live in 10 seconds.
Always on top of things, here we are.
That's right. Welcome to Lisa's Changing Perceptions. Lisa is the creator of Changing Perceptions through life experience. She's discovered that we all suffer internal wounds that guide us. We live in a society that puts a label and expectation on everything and everyone. So many are in constant battle with themselves, never winning the war or ever feeling good enough. Lisa's Changing Perceptions is a show that offers tools and guidance that will assist you in discovering you and unlocking the chains of pain that bind you. You can reach Lisa at www.lisaschangingperceptions.com, send her an email at lisaschangingperceptions@gmail.com, or just give her a good old-fashioned call, 262-573-7055. Today, Live Life Spiritual Direction with Denise Maple. Good morning.
Good morning, Kent. How are you?
I am, well, for everybody listening, I'm great.
Yeah, we had a little chat in the green room about that whole thing.
That's right.
It's been a rough week for everybody, though, is what I'm discovering. So I don't think it's just us.
Something in the air.
Yeah. And Mother Nature hates me, so you can hear my voice is a little harsh this morning. Did you hang up on my guest? Like, no, where did she go?
I don't know where she went.
I'm here. I'm just trying to get my camera to work, and I've been unsuccessful, so I'll show my avatar until I can figure that out.
Oh my gosh, she gets. I want an avatar. Okay. Why do I?
I'll draw.
Why do I have to sit here with bad hair and be self-conscious? And she gets an avatar. That's crap, Denise.
I can do a caricature for you.
Oh, I bet that would be amazing. I think I'm better off live.
Mary, good morning.
Good morning, Mary. How are you, beautiful? You hanging in there okay? Good morning, everybody.
Oh, my gosh. And, of course, this is sponsored by Natural Therapy Wellness Center. www.mchenrymassage.com, 815-385-8190.
Do you ever have one of those days where you wish your life was on a VCR, so you just go rewind?
Right.
Let's just rewind.
Can we do that now?
Yeah.
No, Denise, you're our savior. Kent and I have lost our minds. It's been a really rough week. We're both very exhausted. Mm-hmm. And we don't even mean like we were working together. Just life has been.
The universe has been
shit this week.
Yeah.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, I did not sleep well all week. And yesterday I pretty much slept.
Well, you're going to be our live life spiritually in spiritual direction today because we don't have one.
We're just going to be quiet. You talk.
All right.
Yeah, Denise, this is your show, babe.
Let me do my thing.
We're good with it. And you're just amazing. All right. I'll be serious now. I love you. For those of you who don't know who Denise is, she's been on the show before, and we have known each other since, I believe, the 6th grade. We talk and we laugh a lot because we have very similar views and very different personalities and aspects in which we go our routes. So that's what she's decided. I call it leather and lace, and she's decided that she refers to us as the odd couple. But we have a very different, or very same perspective, just a really truly different kind of ways of doing it. And that's part of what I like about the dynamic, is because not one thing works for everybody. So I wanted Denise to come back on the show to show us, the world, that all of this fighting and all of this anger and all of these people thinking the way that they see something is the only way it can possibly be isn't necessary or true. I have great respect for Denise and the way she views things and the things that she does and her level of integrity. We don't always agree on the best way to go about something, but there's a whole bunch of people who need Denise, and then there's a whole bunch of people who need what I do too, and we're okay with that. And I have great respect for the fact that I can have those conversations with Denise, and we don't have to see it that way or have the same experience to get along. Denise is also, as you can see, on her frigging avatar, that she is very beautiful. She's also very intelligent. She has a great education behind what she does. And not only does she go the spiritual route, but she also helps and goals. She'll help anybody, but one of her main focuses is helping women in business, because she has a finance background. So Denise, I kind of generalized you, and I hope I did it respectfully. And I want you now to share you and to let people know, if somebody out there is listening and wondering who you are and if you're the person for what they need, what type of person would that be? What person would be coming to look for you?
So thank you, Lisa, for that really kind introduction. And I think it's hilarious. I got up early to shower and put on mascara and lipstick, and now we can't even But that's the way these things work sometimes. Maybe by the end I'll get it figured out. But thank you so much for the opportunity to talk about what I do. My background starts with my spiritual counseling, and someone who might be interested or benefit from what I do is if someone has a stirring of, something is not quite the way I want it to be in my life, something's not working, but they're not quite sure which way to go about it. I'm good at helping people see what needs to be done in the physical world, but also the mental, emotional, energetic, spiritual blocks that keep us from success. And when I say success, that could be, in your love life, in your work life, in your business, from a prosperity consciousness, from a health consciousness. The teachings that I have come to really have faith in and have seen work in my own life is if I can uncover the false beliefs that I have in myself and heal them, it is absolutely going to change that part of my life. So I would say, I've been a seeker my entire life. I actually enjoyed going to Sunday school and a lot of people don't, in confirmation class, but I really enjoyed that. But the biggest shift came when I learned the teachings of Ernest Holmes, which teaches the science of mind. And it's essentially the principles that you see, the thread that runs through all of the major religions. It is done to you as you believe. Life is eternal. Treat your brother as yourself, or how you would like to be treated. And when you live life from those principles and you look at what you want in life rather than what you don't want, you can really transform your experience of life. And I've had miraculous experiences in my life just by utilizing these principles and setting intentions and, walking towards them.
Beautiful. And now, from the business aspect, if somebody were looking to add that concept into a business, because I know you have a business and finance background as well, what type of person would come to you? What would they be seeking for on the business aspect of it?
So on the business side, it would be, I would say, anyone that has an interest in learning about these spiritual principles and how they can impact your life in a business setting. I would say also kind of the mind, body, spirit businesses that already understand how important a holistic view is to personal success, to business success. So like I mentioned earlier, like I can help you figure out a business plan, but if you haven't figured out what your false beliefs are, and I'll give you a couple, like I'm scared to put myself out there. Well, if you don't put yourself out there, you're not going to get very far in business, because getting customers and drumming up business is about putting yourself out there. So what is holding you back from putting yourself out there? Let's explore that deeply. And in a session, I may be helping with the practical things, but I may also take a client through inner child work. Yes, the setbacks you have in business may have originated to things that happened to you as a child and
Hallelujah,
experiences.
Seems to always come back to that, doesn't it?
It really does. It really does. And then once you can uncover that and I would say kind of like rework that experience and kind of like a new perspective of that experience, then you can move to the affirmations and moving towards what you want. But if you've got this stumbling block that you're trying to just run over, it's going to keep popping up like a speed bump and slow you down.
What is the most difficult? I'm going to see if yours is the same as mine in the office. What is the most difficult thing you run into when working with people?
People. Oh, you weren't asking me. Sorry.
That they showed up.
Yeah.
That probably wouldn't have been my answer, but I like it. Yeah. So what is the most difficult thing? I will tell you, and this is not to toot my own horn, but I've never been in a session that I didn't feel like I got answers on how to help my client.
I guess I misworded it then, because I don't think that I've ever have either. I mean, there always is answers to come up. I'm just saying, like, what's the most common thing you run into that are the block, that is the stumbling point?
Yeah. Okay.
I will tell you, mine is that there is a problem for every solution. And that's what made me go get my NLP practitioning license, because that was what I ran into. And it's fear-based. And so, we have to go into that. I didn't expect it to be as common as what I ran into.
Yeah, that for sure. I think the underlying thing for all of it is fear.
Absolutely.
Like, not willing to put ourselves out there, not willing to admit that we could possibly be wrong, not willing to admit that big changes might be necessary in our life to have the life that we want. I read a book maybe like 20 years ago called Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway by Susan Jeffers, I believe. It changed my life because I realized how much fear was holding me back. And once you can identify that fear and name it and call it out and ask the question, like, is this fear real? Is this really what is happening? If I put myself out there, am I really going to make a fool of myself? Well, what if I do? And like asking those questions until you get to the point where you realize that most of our fears, I mean, unless we are literally in front of the barrel of a gun or something like that, most of our fears are not real.
Right.
They're created. Exactly.
I just had this conversation recently with somebody because of what's going on, overseas, and the fear that's being built up worldwide, at this point, kind of thing. And I understand that it's a legitimate thing that people are concerned about, but I'm seeing people be consumed with it. Ugh. So part of the NLP that I do, or the way that I reverse it, and like I said, when we say the odd couple, and Denise will get to this second, I always say Denise is the nice one, and I'm the like, here it is. And I said to them, and I said, okay, because they were concerned about, this nuclear threat thing. And I said, okay, what if right now you find out it's happening and they'll be here in hours? What are you going to do? Kind of looked at me. Right. What are you going to do? What if they don't? What if this goes on for months and it never happens, and you spent these months that you did have afraid of what might happen. What did you give up? What did you lose? You know what I mean? And trying to break down that fear into, do you see that fear is all consuming? And I refer to fear as being sticky, because when you have a great fear, it's almost like a giant wound or a big burn all over your body, and every little thing that touches it makes it worse and makes you jerk. You know what I mean? And it creates a new fear that somebody's going to touch that, and it builds. So I agree with you that everything is root causes generally fear, shame, or guilt. That's been my experience. Fear, shame, and guilt. Those are our root things. And I don't know I don't know another way than to speak how I speak and be how I am. And I have people that need that. I have people that need the whole cut and dry boom. And that's why, like I said, Denise refers to us as the odd couple, because she's sweet and gentle.
There you go.
And she's such a nice person. And I don't know how else to combat the fear. So in that, Denise, with that going on in the world, what are you like? How are you encouraging people, or how are you helping people to see that there's a world outside the box that they're staring at?
Well, one way is
Turn it off.
that she'll jump
Not
back
this
on.
one, not now, in an hour.
There she is. All right, she jumped back in. She got bumped a little bit. Of course, this is 216 The Net. Lisa's Changing Perceptions, and out there on www.216thenet.com, we've got we've got a bundle. So there's 3 sessions to help people kind of get out of that space of fear a little bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Reconnect and things like that. They're $9.99 each, or you can pick up the bundle for $24.99. So visit www.216thenet and grab that to help yourself. That's one way. Denise, welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you. And believe it or not, I actually have some technological capabilities. It's I have no idea what's going on this morning.
Yeah, Denise also sells IT time.
Exactly.
What's going on today with you is you've walked into Lisa's and my world. Thank you.
Yeah, but she's been here live before, so she's very well aware of like what actually happens here before the we're live goes on and the chaos. Were you here when Pete was here, or was Kent here?
I was here when I had the honor to meet Pete last time.
Oh, look at he's up there saying, "Wow, somebody said that."
Yeah, what a amazing man. I really am glad that I had the chance to meet him.
He's a sweet soul.
Yes.
Sweet soul.
Yeah.
Now he's a flipping.
He expired.
Now he's a character, like, because he messes around with stuff around here a lot now.
Yeah.
So he's a booger. So I'm sorry, did you hear my babbling before you disconnected, or no?
I heard half of it.
Okay, that's probably all you needed to know. I'm
God let you hear the half that you were supposed to hear.
Yeah, and the rest of it he knew was just me. So when somebody's coming in now and they're filled with fears that have to do with the world going on right now, how are you approaching that?
So in my spiritual practitioner training, I was taught to turn away from the condition and turn to the truth with a capital T. So let me explain what I mean by that. If there's an outpicturing in the world that is anything unlike love, joy, or any of the qualities of spirit, of truth, there's a belief within ourselves that is causing that outpicturing. So one, I know that what is going on is not the truth of our being and not the truth of who we are as human beings and as children of God. But I also look within myself and I say, okay, where am I experiencing war? Where am I not experiencing peace? And where can I heal it within myself? And I know that sounds simplistic, but if we all did that, it would be a very different picture in the world. And if you look on social media, you see so much hate being spewed at a man named Vladimir Putin, who who probably is doing horrible things. But that hate is not doing any good in the world.
Amen.
The
Right.
deep continued look at the suffering of others is not doing any good for the world. Start where you are right now. Send peace and love to the region. Send peace and love to the people. Envision them in freedom and love and joy, and cultivate that freedom and love and joy in your own life. Don't put, certainly if you've got anger or you've got fear, like get it out, shake it out, scream it out, pray and move on and cultivate what you want in your life. Because I promise you it's a ripple effect. And if you don't believe me, go into any situation and test it, and go in a bad mood and recognize and observe what happens. And then go into another situation and go in with love and peace and acceptance of everyone you meet in that room. And I promise you it will be a completely different situation.
We've done a show on that in the past. I call it staying in your wheelhouse. I just look at it a little bit differently. Like, yes, you can be aware of what's going on out there, but you have to pull yourself back into you and say, okay, what do I have control over? I don't have control over what's happening there.
Right.
But I have control over what's happening here. And I have control about what I put out. And the only thing that I can put out is in my wheelhouse, in my general area, what I have access to put out to. So I'm responsible for that.
Well, I want people to understand what Denise just said too, is the people of that area. She didn't name a particular country. She didn't name a particular, right? Because
they're all people.
They're all people. Just throw it out over there. Right?
They're all people.
Yeah.
And the hate and anger, I've had this conversation with people who carry a lot of hate and anger. And one of my beliefs is how do you deal with somebody who's angry? And it's allow them to be angry. But the reason that you allow them to be angry and you hear them be angry is so that they can express it. Like what Denise said, let it out and allow that to come out. Because when it comes out, the disbelief is that when it comes out, it will create more anger. If you hear someone's anger with compassion, the anger changes because they feel heard. Most people in the world want to feel heard. That's one of the biggest things. That's why, especially on social media, it's who can scream the loudest, who can be the nastiest, and who can do the strongest gaslight to get the most attention. Because people want to be heard, and that fear wants to be heard. So what I agree with what you said as well. Get it out, let it out. But that doesn't mean harm another person.
Right.
It just means to let it out. And then you are only responsible for what's in your own wheelhouse. This belief that we're responsible for absolutely everything happening absolutely everywhere in the world, we are not. We're responsible for our reaction to it.
Yeah.
And our reaction right now, other than, the prayer and the good thoughts and the things that we do, we can't do anything else about that right now. But feeding that here with hate and anger and fighting and creating internal wars and family wars and friendship wars and and Facebook wars and all these things. I've never seen hate be attacked by hate and hate went away.
And the other thing that I'm really have to say a little disappointed with is I'm even seeing this in some of our spiritual communities.
Oh, absolutely.
That there's so much anger being spewed from the pulpit, and this is even in like New Thought communities, that I feel like, so how did they lose their way? Like I feel like we're being manipulated by the media to just be angry, and that's good to a point. Our anger is a hint to what's going on and that something needs to change, but we can't stay there.
Because anger versus anger causes what?
More anger.
Right.
More anger.
Right.
Bigger anger.
And that's why, like I said, when I've said, how do you allow somebody to be angry? Allow them to be angry, but have compassion for their anger, provided they cause no harm. I'll always put that stipulation in. Allow them to, because when you hear anger with compassion, it's very similar to putting cold water in boiling water.
Mhm.
You bring it to a warm neutral. Okay. So when you hear anger with compassion, your vibration, your if it's genuine compassion, okay, understanding that they're angry and that the anger serves a purpose, your compassion melts, and their vibration changes and your vibration adjusts, and you find this medium. And to me, it's like taking scalding water and saying that hurts. So adding cool water to it does what? It causes a neutral. And the energy will do the same too. So this hating and fighting and yelling and who's right and who's wrong and pick sides, and I have never seen hate and anger against hate and anger cause peace.
Right.
Someone has to make the first move,
Oh,
and
amen. We were
sometimes
just
it's our ego.
we just had
It's our
that
ego
conversation in the
stopping
green
us
room.
from doing that.
Yep. Of course, if the world would seek first to understand rather than to be understood, especially on social media, I think life would be a lot easier. Of course, we've got our good friend Denise Maple on, and Denise is.
And she's not standing there stiffly. That's a picture.
It is. Oh, strike a pose. But
Everybody do a Shatner.
that's right. You can check out what she does at livelifespiritual.com. She's worldwide. How she operates is, she can, if you've got a company in Beirut, she can help you out. Right. I don't know why I said Beirut. I don't even know where that is. Anyway, all around the world, what she does is absolutely wonderful. livelifespiritual.com. Live the song of your soul. And if other than the website, is there any other way to get in touch with you, Denise?
Yeah, Denise at livelifespiritual.com. And my business number is 262-764-0064.
And you are opening up a new office too. Is that correct?
Yeah, so I will continue with virtual appointments and sessions and courses and things like that. But on April 1st, I'm so excited to announce I'm opening an office in Whitewater, Wisconsin. If you're in the area, I'm at 202 East Main Street, and I will be doing Reiki, spiritual counseling, and holistic business coaching from that space, but of course still offering virtual. So the other thing,
all of you who don't know this or who might not be putting the pieces together, Whitewater, Wisconsin is a college town. I know that because my daughters went there. So, even college students that are stressing over maybe leaving home for the first time and not knowing how to find their way, or stressing over midterms and what major do I pick, and those things, are you able to help those students that can come in and talk to you and work with you to find some focus?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm right down the street from campus, not very far. I'm just east of the main downtown area. And I think that's a great idea. I mean, it has been a tough time for college students. The other part of my life is I'm a clinical assistant professor of finance at the University of Illinois, and I've seen it in my own students, what they've gone through the last couple of years, and the rise in anxiety. And I certainly have some tools that I think can help, move them out of a place of I don't want to say constant anxiety, but being in anxiety a lot, to really have a place of more freedom and expectation of good rather than bad.
Because I've found, and I don't know if this is the same for you, I've found that oftentimes it's not necessary really to dig in. I like to get into the root nitty gritty of everything. That's not always necessary. Sometimes it's just literally figuring out a way to quiet the mind. And it doesn't matter on what topic, but to find that calm where you can just drift away from everything. And there's a misconception that you have to do that for hours on end. And It's really not true. You can do it for, a few minutes. You can do it multiple times a day. So when students, and I work with high school students, you're obviously there with the college kids. And do you find that they even know how to stop and breathe and pull themselves back in and kind of settle down that mind? Do you find that that's something that most of them have even ever learned or been taught?
Well, I am not sure about this, but let me tell you about an experience I had that leads me to believe that what you're saying is true. So when I was I was the director of an academy last year at the university, and one of the things that the students asked me to do a class on was time management and stress management. So I took the class through a meditation. I took them through a lot of different tools like mind body exercises, breathing, ways of thinking of things, cutting down on what you watch in the news. And then at the end, I said, okay, now like you can shut up. This was when we were all online. And I said, shut off your cameras if you want. I'm playing a dance song and we're going to dance for this whole song. And just to get yourself out of your head, it was a really fun song. And that was for many their favorite class of the whole semester, that they didn't realize that they had such quick access to tools to get out of their heads, get into your body, release some of that stress so that you can think clearly again.
Well, and I agree. And the high school kids, and actually adults that come in the office, I've said the same thing when I say, spend 15 or 20 minutes just breathing, just closing your eyes, just any thoughts that pop in, literally just see yourself push them out and just breathing and just breathing. And I don't have time for that. I don't have time for that. And I always give the challenge because, high school kids like to tell you you're wrong. Try what I'm asking you to do for 2 weeks. And then after 2 weeks, you get to come in my office and tell me I'm full of crap. You want to make a high schooler happy? Give them that permission. They're like, rock on. I can't wait to tell you. And I would show them that if they would spend that 15 or 20 minutes, even if it's 5 minutes at a time, you know what I mean, throughout the day, that they'll get twice as much done and they'll get it done better.
Yeah.
And the majority of the time, not 100% of the time, the majority of the time, like 90% of the time, they would come in and go, I did really a lot better on my exam than I thought I would do. When I sat down and we were waiting, I just kind of started doing that breathing thing and I started pushing things out and I got a lot higher score than I've ever gotten on my right. Because when we take that time to let all that go, we are able to focus and we can get twice as much done. And the blessing is you get twice as much done and you can even add yourself some free time. So for that 15 or 20 minutes to 30 minutes, whatever it is for each person that they say they don't have, it's actually adding hours, to your day. But people don't know that or understand that until you actually try it. You have to actually try it. And that's why I do the 2-week rule. Because if you give a teenager at least much longer than 2 weeks, that's just too much.
Yeah.
Like they can't see outside of that, that's too long of a span.
Most people. Sandy, good morning, says, hey, Lisa and Denise, are you empaths? And if so, how do you handle the world around you right now?
I hole up in my bed and don't answer my phone some days. That you want the truthful answer?
Yeah.
I leave my heart on my nightstand on occasion and my phone in off mode. And I let my give a shit be in a box somewhere.
Yep.
And I allow myself that time when I need that time.
There you go.
So now you'll learn why we're the odd couple. Denise, how do you handle that?
I can't sit still long enough unless I'm exhausted to do that. So I have to have a different strategy. And because I am out in the world a lot and I like being out in the world a lot. And it is difficult. And I think part of being an empath, and to answer your question, Sandy, I am an empath. But I have changed my perspective on what that means. I have decided that I don't need to take on all of it. I limit my news. I limit my social media. I limit myself to conversations that are in conflict. But I also am really good at seeing people for their truth. So if I'm in a situation where someone is freaking out about, whatever's going on in the world, like I can see their fear and have empathy for that too. Like being an empath is feeling what's around you, but also having empathy for what someone is going through. So one of the things I feel like I'm good at, and it drives people nuts sometimes, is seeing both sides of an issue. And I can look at someone freaking out about something that I'm not, and also have compassion. So a part of it is limiting, like Lisa said, my exposure to certain things and certain experiences. But I don't know. I guess that's one thing I would say to like anyone that wants to come see me is like, I can accept you where you are in most situations. I'm not perfect. I get triggered like everyone else, but through my training and all the work I've done on myself, I'm pretty good at accepting you where you are.
And you have to. You've got to be able to meet somebody at their level and raise them up. And like, I don't mean that I do that every single day. For the record, I'm talking about that's not productive. But that is when it gets overwhelming.
Right.
That is truly what I do. My struggle with the empath part is I'm also a physical empath. So when people have disease or physical illness, I don't develop it, but I'm in the moment in it. So I feel what they're feeling, and I feel the disease, and I feel the physical pain as well as the mental, emotional. And I struggle probably with that the most because it gets confusing for me sometimes as to am I sick or is somebody else sick? Because I don't have to be next to them. I just have to be connected to them in some way. And so that part of the empath I struggle with. I don't do well in crowds. That's another thing. If I'm distant from the crowd, I can. But like when people say, "Oh, do you want to go to a concert?" Oh, no. No, it's like bipolar madness.
Right.
Because every time somebody's walking past, or
I'm that way.
if they have a strong enough energy or a strong enough emotion, I feel it, and it changes with the next person that walks by. And I struggle with the empath because of that aspect. And I am also beginning to learn that compassion also has a boundary. And that's been, Kent and I were talking about this week, that compassion has a boundary, and it still does come back to our own beliefs and our own stored things. That I have discovered that the more I learned about the mind and how the unconscious works and our childhood and all these things, that I developed so much compassion and understanding of why people behave the way they do or react the way they do, that I forgave too much. In other words, I took on too much and carried too much burden. And Spirit's been teaching me this week that there is a boundary to that, because here's what I'm learning is the difference. And this is where I think society is struggling right now, is that we have struggles and we have reactions and we have things that have hurt us, and everybody's been through trauma and all these things are happening. Once we become aware of it and what it is, and once we become aware of the consequence to our reaction to that, we are no longer the victim. It's a choice.
Yeah.
So the people who will go social media, who are attacking on social media and then screaming, "I can't believe all these people defriended me." Okay, now you're aware that your responses and your reactions are causing this outcome. You have two choices. continue what you're doing because you insist that you're right, you already know the consequence and outcome of that. It's now a choice because you're aware of it. You have to choose to change that. How much do you need to be heard? How much do you need to feel you convince somebody? Is it worth this consequence? Yeah. And that's where I'm finding society in general is struggling to say, I feel this way, so all of you had better feel this way, and then you better accept however I feel about it and however I react about it, and that better be okay. And it's this imbalance of being able to go and pull ourselves back and go, okay, what I'm doing isn't working. Where I'm at, I'm not happy. I realize now that this is why that is. Now it's a choice. Do I do something about it or do I repeat it?
Yeah. The big thing too, folks, is just like you feed your body with nutrition, you got to do that with your mind, body, spirit. And of course, if you go out to www.216thenet.com and you just right there on the front page, you're going to see some featured products, reconnecting mind, body, spirit, chakra and energy clearing, and meet your spirit guide. These are programs that Lisa has put together for at-home use. Just quick little 10, 15-minute, sessions where you can basically re-energize, clear out the, I say that these are like, for people my age, the Etch-a-Sketch when you would shake it. This allows you to kind of reconnect, be very mindful. Trust me when I say this. They're $9.99 a piece. I mean, it's less than a McDonald's meal. Just grab it and try it. But a lot of the times, I think, ladies, and I'm talking now to Denise and you, Lisa, is we don't take the time to what I would say ground ourselves, to reground. Once we feel that empathic yuck, we tend to try to fight with it in amongst ourselves, and we don't find time to just ground ourselves to get back to that vibration where that makes us very, very happy.
It took me many years to learn not to fight it and overthink it and try and figure out that I didn't have to always know why it was there. Sometimes it was okay to just step back. And a lot of times I've discovered that we feel like we're literally outside of ourselves, and that's where our loss of control is. And that's why some of these are meant to literally just pull your energy back to exactly where you are right in this moment. Nothing before you, nothing after you, right now in this moment, and pull your energy back. And by doing that, we become clear again because we're so scattered. Do I believe what I read on social media? Do I believe what I heard on the news? Do I believe what my friend said? Well, I trust that person. Well, maybe that person saw something. We're all over.
Right.
Our energy is all over. And people don't realize that you're giving your energy to all of these things, and it's literally energy leaving your body. So to take that time each day to pull that back, pull all of you back in, and I'm nowhere else. I'm right here. I'm right now. We have some more topics coming out probably in a week or two. There's going to be a few more topics coming out. We're going to try and add some every few weeks. Some of them will be more serious and intense and about self-help. And some of them are just spiritual and almost fun and just relaxing and carefree. And I want to have that variety because people need that variety. But taking some time to shut everything off. And just pull yourself back in, you'll be surprised how much more you get done, how much clearer you're focused, and how much fear you release because you realize there isn't anything else but this moment.
That's right. And speaking of this moment, I also want to just point something out for our good friend Denise, who's on with us right now. It looks like this week.
Oh, yeah, I forgot.
Right. March 23rd, Vision Your Life Workshop. Another great way to kind of, shed that. Can you tell us a little bit about that, Denise?
Yeah, Denise, and how tell us about that workshop and how people can sign up for that.
Yeah. So first of all, look at the picture. It reminds me that today is the first day of spring. So happy spring
Amen.
equinox, everyone.
Is it?
Yes.
Uh, yes.
No, she's
Uh,
lying to you. I'm sure. But
I'm just out there.
it is the spring equinox. I think some people celebrate on the 21st, 20th, 21st, but let me be the first to wish you happy spring, Lisa.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Happy spring. I'm going to
Thank you.
today then.
yeah, it's awesome. It's gonna be beautiful.
So I'm actually offering a bunch of workshops over the next few weeks. This is going to be the first one that I'm kicking off Wednesday night, 6:30 p.m. Central Time on Zoom. And you can, if you go to my website, livelifespiritual.com, just click on workshop. So remember how we talked earlier on, like if there's something not quite working in your life and you want to see it differently, out picturing differently. So visioning is a tool that I will help you learn how to discover those answers within yourself. It's a meditative visioning process that I will take you through asking 5 key questions to allow you to, and this was pioneered by Reverend Michael Bernard Beckwith. He's at Agape International Spiritual Center in California.
Yeah, right.
And his consciousness is through the roof, and he's one of the new thought spiritual centers that I think is getting this whole thing right with what we're going through. So the idea is that you catch the answers when you can go into that meditative space and you can listen for the answers, because when we're going, we can't find the answers. And do they come from within? Well, yeah, if you believe like I do that the spirit within you is giving you the guidance, it gives you the quietness, the right questions, the setting to get the answers that you need to make positive changes in your life. And then I'll take people through some steps
That's awesome.
to anchor it.
Awesome. Yeah.
As long as we're on that, can I tell you about some other workshops we've got going on?
Of course.
Please.
So Lisa and I are familiar with Susanna Farms in Lake Villa, Illinois. It's near where we grew up. I'm going to be offering a 3-week, it's 3 Saturdays in a row, a Spiritual Practices Foundation series. It'll be at 10 a.m. Starting March 26th, where I will talk about affirmative prayer. April 2nd at 10 a.m., we'll talk about gratitude. And then on April 9th, we'll talk about meditation and some of the tools that we've been talking about today.
Do people need to attend all 3 of those in order to go? Is it a 3, like kind of commit to all 3 things, or can they, if they can only make 1 or 2 of the weeks, can they come? How will that work out?
Yeah, you can choose 1 or 2 or come to all 3. If you sign up for all 3, you will get a discount. Okay. And that would be at the Susanna Farms website. I think it's susannafarms.net, and then just go to events. Susanna Farms is a farm that has horses and goats and chickens and a labyrinth and a meditation circle. It's just an oasis for peace. So if you're in Northeast Illinois, Lake County, or even, I think it's even worth the trip from, any of our surrounding metro areas like, Milwaukee, Chicago, Madison. I think it's well worth the trip.
And Laura that runs it and owns it over there is a kind.
Laura is awesome. Laura Heffernan, it's her family farm that she runs. And she one of the reasons that she wanted to do this is she wants to give back to the community. She wants to give our community the tools to, find some joy and peace in these troubling times.
Yes, it's very peaceful. I went to a drumming circle there last summer.
I remember you talking about.
Yeah, I love drumming circles.
Oh, that sounds cool.
Yeah, it's just the vibration thing. And I found out that they're even using that now. There was a man there who was running it, who's using it now with veterans and PTSD and things, because the literal vibration of the drumming changed the electrodes in their body. And we were talking about that. But yeah, she does it. Check out Susanna Farms as well, because she does a lot of different types of things. Go see Denise there, meet the animals, see what else. It's a fabulous place, and she has a really good heart. She does a lot of work with children and on the horses and what have you, with anxiety and what have you too, right?
Yeah, equine trauma therapy.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, she's very skilled and has a big heart.
Yeah. So go to livelifespiritual.com, click the workshop at the top on the banner. It'll take you right to Vision Your Life workshop. It's happening March 23rd, 6:30 p.m. Central. And the cost is really inexpensive. Looks like you cut it in half. So it's awesome.
I did. I wanted to make this accessible, just, especially given what we're going through.
Right. Well, that's why Kent and I talked about the downloads and things too. Agreed.
Yeah. And I can
Sometimes how
attest
they
to,
are, the people who need us sometimes aren't able to do that right now. So trying to come up with ideas of, okay, how do we make things more accessible? And Denise has done that through Zoom. So you
Yeah,
don't have a people limit either, correct?
no, there's no limit for the Zoom link. There's still plenty of room, and I can take registration, right up until a couple hours before class starts, because all I need to do is send you a calendar invitation which has the materials on it.
That's awesome.
Oh,
So,
and well, that's a good thing to point out too, so that people realize that how you set things. Denise, I love her. She is so organized. And there's actual worksheets and what have you that they'll be able to download to work with, correct?
yeah, exactly. And then you can
So it's
keep
a whole
that.
program. It's not just Denise like talking. It's a whole program that says, here's what you need. Here's the tools you need. And she does send you the worksheets and what have you for downloads and to be they're able to download them and print them, correct?
Yeah, exactly. It's definitely going to be an interactive workshop. Because of my teaching experience, I also was in training and development for many years in corporate America. I feel very strongly, based on what I've learned, is, a training session or a workshop needs to be interactive. Just to be spoken at for 2 hours isn't going to ingrain the information the way that you can make real changes. So we'll do actual exercises, we'll have discussion about it, and then you'll have the tools after you leave to do it on your own.
That's cool.
Yeah, so check her link and her website out there, and that's just coming up. What is today, the 20th?
Yes.
Yes, as organized as my brain
So
is.
that's why.
So that's coming up Wednesday. So quick, immediate, instant access. Go ahead and go over to the website and give her a try and ask her questions.
Yeah, and this is one of the tools that we were talking about earlier to kind of deal with life. I see Howard's comment about the things we were talking about, like, but still the world is so hard, in a way. And it made me think of some physical tools, Lisa, that I use in the world when I do have to go out there. It's so ingrained in me that I kind of forget that they're tools. But like, I literally envision a protective shield around myself if I go into a situation that I'm not sure how it's going to go.
I put up my Teflon bubble. That's what I call it.
Right.
And my Teflon bubble, so anything that hits it can just roll right down.
And I'm telling you, it works. Or you can cover your solar plexus, like cross your arms in front of your solar plexus, and that kind of protects your personal power as well. So just for Sandy and Howard, if you're looking for like tangible tools.
I'll tell you, I can't do that in my office, and here's why. Because what you're talking about, when you're talking to somebody who's struggling, is a defensive.
Yeah, body language.
Oh, that's true. I would say in a client situation, I would not do that.
That's most of the time the people I talk to.
I tend to.
I don't have a great social life.
My shield is I tend to be stupid and try to make people laugh and deflect everything. That's why I wouldn't be a good therapist.
Humor's a good tool too.
Ken gets uncomfortable in the therapy session and laughs at them. It's usually not a great response.
No,
to that.
Actually, I think in certain situations, I have found that humor is a good tool to kind of just break up the energy.
Long enough.
No.
No. We're not talking about using humor therapeutically. We're talking about it gets uncomfortable.
That's right.
And can't hold it in. Ken's one of those people that, like the person falls and he laughs hysterically before saying, "Are you okay?" When he's actually kind of concerned about
right.
it because it made him uncomfortable. But that discomfort comes out in a belly laugh.
That's right.
Yeah.
Shayna says, I think Dave Chappelle would make a great therapist. As long as you don't mind him smoking.
Right, that's true.
So we're down to, what are we down to? 5 minutes?
Yeah, we're about 6 minutes. Yeah, 5.5. You got it.
So Denise, I thank you for coming in today and for being my guest and for sharing all your stuff with you. And I'm going to hand the last 6 minutes over to you. One more time, you had 2 things you wanted to announce before.
Yes. So as we are stepping out, here's what we're going to do to help the world heal and help people heal. For the first 3 people who send an email to 216thenet@gmail.com. Again, that's 216thenet@gmail.com. Somebody has donated 3 of Lisa's bundles to the first 3 people who email and say, and just in the subject line, just put Lisa's Changing Perceptions, and we'll make sure that we will send you the bundle link so that you can take advantage of the 3 sessions that Lisa's put together. And it's just, trust me, it's going to be a brilliant and beautiful. You'll absolutely love it.
And thank you to the donor who felt that was
That's right.
necessary.
Yep. Which is great. So I'll just put it in the comments as Denise is taking it from here. So.
And Denise, now it's your 5 minutes or 4.5, because we talked a lot. Sell yourself, sister.
All right. Thank you for the opportunity. And this is, as always, has been super fun. So thank you. But I think one thing I'd like to say is, I think investing in yourself is the best investment you can make. And I have found through working with Lisa and other counselors and therapists that when I invest in myself and I do, I really set out to make change in my life especially with the help of someone else, it really makes an impact. So I feel like when you work with a spiritual counselor like myself or a business coach, that accountability is something that can really help you move the needle. So one, it's, you've got someone to kind of help guide you, someone to help you find the answers within yourself, but then you also have someone to be accountable to, right? Like, and I don't mean that if someone came to, say they decided to do, a 5-session package with me or something like that, that if they came to the next session without having done their quote unquote homework, that I'm going to berate them. The reason that I say accountability is that sometimes it's easier for us to be accountable to other people than ourselves. So that this is a case where when we're accountable to someone else, we're also being accountable to ourselves. So, getting into that habit of kind of being, I don't want to say forced because that's not quite the right word, but setting aside some space to really look at and transform what is kind of causing us to attract or create situations in our life that is less than ideal. So, really committing to yourself is really one of the best things you can do for yourself. So, and that can be done with me, through the workshops that we talked about and the courses. All that can be found on the website. And there's some information in my blog as well. The Reiki that I do is more of like a receiving, where counseling is you're receiving, but you're also doing some of the work. But sometimes we just need to be nurtured. And I look at Reiki as really being a nurturing experience, where you can just receive and get the healing you need so that maybe you can get to the point where you can do some of that work. And that can be done virtually. If you see one of the testimonials on my website, I was sending Reiki to a friend's son in the hospital. And every time that I did, I would text her and say, I'm sending it. And he was really struggling. And every time I sent Reiki, his heart rate would drop from very agitated levels to like very calm 50s and 60s. So, I knew that it worked, but to have that demonstration really was even amazing to me, and I knew it was working.
Sometimes we get our evidence and our validation just to remind us that it's all worthwhile.
That's right.
Exactly.
And to help other people see it too, because other people who were in that room then can see the, same things and have those experiences too.
That's it.
Exactly.
Good stuff. Visit Denise out there at what the heck is it? livelifespiritual.com. She's got a new office opening April 1st, just around the corner here, up in Whitewater, Wisconsin. She's got her her session coming up on Wednesday. There's Susanna Farms, just a bunch of stuff, and just blessed to be able to say that we know you and have you on the show and everything that you're doing, Denise. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Kent and Lisa. I'm so grateful. This was so fun.
Thanks for calling in today, Denise. I'll talk to you very soon.
Sounds good.
Have a
Bye,
great
everyone.
weekend, or great rest of the weekend, everybody. Enjoy the spring day if you're here in the Midwest.
That's right. For all of us here at 216 The Net, stay tuned for our good friends over at Fellowship of Faith and their worship hour.
Bye, everybody.